Lasting impressions. What do you do to make a lasting impression? Ma'am?
I think you can tell them something about something you're passionate about that can carry over into the career path that you're looking into.
Okay. Passion is so hugely important to being successful. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, ultimately you're not going to succeed. I saw a hand back here.
So it'd be considered, if you're just talking to somebody, you're having a conversation, whether it's an employer or just casual conversation, somebody's going to be considerate of, not only my time, but the topic, the atmosphere and everything. Whether they're just going to be a robot, I'm not going to care. I'm just going to write that person off.
Okay. So be considerate. Jordan?
Kind of growth as opposed to doing what everyone else does and saying, like, here's the 30-second spiel about what my job is or my life. Maybe like give like a specific, interesting story that happened to you recently that would make you stand out in their mind.
The best way to make a lasting impression in the networking environment follow up. You are going to get business cards of people that, yeah, okay, they offer you your business card, it's their business card, you take it. You're going to get business card from people you really want their business card for whatever reason. Whether we like it or not, the vast majority of folks never follow up on networking. Never follow up on networking. They'll go to the event, they'll take the business cards, and that's the last you'll hear from them. I did an experiment at one networking event just to see what would happen. I didn't follow up with anybody, nobody followed up with me. That either says something about me or something about them, I don't know. But if it's someone you truly want to remember you need to follow up. The most effective follow-up kind of goes back where she was saying, okay, you find out they like a certain type of music. Or let's say we find out they're interested in ancient Aztec archaeology. So you go home and you find, use Bing or Google, whatever, you find something about that topic. And you send an email to that individual, if the email is appropriate. Say, it was great to meet you at X and X event. I enjoyed talking to you about this, that, and the other. I came across this article on that topic that you were interested in that I thought you might enjoy reading. Have a good day. I hope we have a chance to get together again soon. Now, if it's someone you really want to make an impression on, write a note. The most effective form of follow-up is a handwritten note because people don't do it.
It's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that. My company gives us for free cards that are like yay big, and they have all of our contact details on them, and they fold over, so you can fold it over the article, paper clip it, and it says like, either for your information or something. There's like a little, they're pre-printed notes on it, but you can handwrite at the top there, like, saw this article, thought you might be interested, to kind of put your company and you back in that person's mind, even after you talk to them.
Absolutely the most effective form of follow-up. Now, I'm hearing tell in the job hunting market these days that the written thank you note to the interviewer is not a big deal, but networking and trying to make an impression, that is the most effective way to make a long-term impression. When do you ask for help? When is it? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just have a quick question about the handwritten notes. Is there ever a situation where maybe a handwritten note would be inappropriate or just seen as too much?
Never.
Okay.
As long as, to finish up on that thought, I see we're getting close to our 45 minutes. The most important thing I can leave you about networking, if you take nothing else from this, take this. The key to effective networking is to be authentic and to be yourself. And if you're authentic and you're not just schmoozing, trying to make a deal, if you're just authentically saying, thank you, I appreciate you giving me your time, then no, there's never a bad time to send a handwritten note to somebody.
Could you send that like through the mail, or how would you just take it to them?
If I'm sending a handwritten note, I'm sending it through the mail. How often, think about it, how often do you get a handwritten letter from anybody? Almost never anymore, right? So how much of an impact is that gonna make on somebody if they get a handwritten letter from you thanking them for your time? Now, of course, you get them for, thanks for the wedding gift, thanks for the birthday gift, grandma, but in a business environment, you're gonna make such a big impact, such a positive impact by sending them a handwritten letter.
This isn't necessarily, I guess, applying to business, but kind of just an anecdote. A friend of mine, I dropped out of contact with a friend of mine in high school, freshman year, and he moved to Australia, then to Vietnam, and all these places, and he sent me a big handwritten note from a slum in Vietnam. And he told me his story, and I went out of my way to find him again and find his phone number and talk to him, just because it made such an impression on me. He took the time to write that.
Exactly, exactly right.
And some, especially for us in AKPsi, like when you go to convention or to this, to get a letter saying thank you for meeting you, or if you're ever back in town, or thank you for the time, when it comes to a few months later, when I need a guest speaker, or someone to help my chapter, or I'm gonna be somewhere, I think of who has taken that time to write me a letter, and it's worked. So, and it was because that effort was taken, and not Facebook, mail it.
Exactly.
Like type it out and sign it, right? 'Cause
Oh,
I'm
absolutely
terrible
not. They're not
handwriting.
typed. I don't care. I don't care.
That's
It's like a
right.
thank you note, if that's what you need to do, a thank you note needs to be a handwritten note from you to that individual. Don't type it out. Anything else? All right, where are my clipboard? Yeah, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, that's what, I think you kind of answered it, like for follow-ups, like I definitely understand the handwritten letter, but do you think like a phone, like maybe like a follow-up, like a phone call or an email would work too, or do you think like just the note is your best?
I use personal experience. I use phone calls if during the course of our conversation at the network event, we made some noise to each other that we should get together again. Hey, we should do coffee. In those instances, I will call them. And, hey, this is Doug, had a great time meeting you last week. Wondering if you're free, I'm gonna be in town on this date around this time. Wondering if you're free, we can get together for a cup of coffee. That's normally the only time I use phones for a follow-up. Yeah.
But if you call someone, be prepared to leave a message. Because you'll call, and if I don't know your number, more than likely I may not answer it. Be prepared to leave a message to identify who you are, and not stutter or look for words.
Okay.
That's that question. When should we follow? How long?
Best follow-up within 24 to 48 hours. I'm doing some math in my head while I'm listening.
Is there any time where it's been too long since the encounter has happened that you shouldn't follow up? Or
There better not be. If you've done what you're supposed to do, you'll never be late. You need to get yourself into that habit. 24 to 48 hours after the networking event, you've pulled those cards out of your pocket, you've recorded the appropriate information you need recorded, and you've either sent an email thank you or a written note, whatever the appropriate, or honestly, like we said before, there are some instances where you're just not going to follow up. It didn't work.
So you meet them, you follow up, just say hi, nice meeting you, they say great, nice meeting you too, let me know if you need anything. Is there any extra follow-up, or just it's okay to leave that until you actually do need to make contact again?
Leave it, but you never want your next follow-up to be asking for something. After a networking event, your next contact with that person should be you offering them something. Whether it's an article, whether it's just, hey, I saw your name in the business section, congratulations on your promotion. Your initial follow-up should never be asking for something from that person. And your first ask for something from that person should not be for anything more than, and I think it says it in your booklet, asking for advice. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you have any experience and anything you could suggest that I try as I do it?
One of the things I find successful for me, at least sometimes, is I travel around, and when I do go into certain cities that I have been for a while, let's say London, I'll usually call up or I'll email a lot of my friends who are in the city and ask to meet up for coffee, just to kind of catch up real quick. And that's how one of the ways I keep my network fresh, is to every four months or so, or every 6 months, try to meet up for at least a cup of coffee and find out what's going on in their life. And then that way, if something I can help them with, I can help them.